Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Startup Sense podcast. This is your host, Jonah Lupton. We're coming to you with another great episode today. It is a beautiful day here in Massachusetts, finally in the 70s, thank God. On the phone today, I have Manny Bamfo. He is the co founder of a company called Recharge. The website is recharge.co. Company's based in San Francisco, approximately 11 employees. They've raised just under $5 million. And essentially, what they're doing is providing flexible hotel booking. We'll talk about that in a second, what that means. It's pretty cool. I actually wish they were in Boston because I could use their service this week with some plans going into the city. So let's welcome Manny to the show, learn more about the company. Manny, how are you, man?
I'm doing just fine, Jonah. Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it. So tell us more about your company. What does Recharge do?
Absolutely. Very simply, we allow people to walk into luxury hotels and use them by the minute. So no longer are you set up to check in at 3 p.m. only and check out at 12 p.m. You can walk into the hotel and you can use it from 12:15 p.m. until 3:30 p.m. or from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. or from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. We have taken the purchase of time, that function, we've taken it out of the supplier's hands and put it into consumers' hands at a premium in some of the best hotels in the world. And that's what we do.
So for a lot of people that, business travelers or commuters, as I think you like to call them, that may only need a hotel for a few hours, get some work done, take a shower, take a nap, whatever it might be, you guys are providing a better, more comfortable solution than Starbucks.
That's correct. If you think about why hotels even exist, most of us will have a bed, bath, and shower of our own. It's our house, right? And when you take a journey, if I go from Boston to North Carolina or Boston to San Francisco or Boston to London, at that time, I need a hotel because I'm on a journey and my home is too far away. But for many of us, we're on a journey within our own region. I'm running around doing tons of meetings, moving sometimes 20, 30 miles, moving around in my own region. And in that time, a lot of us will stop and kind of have a junction stop as I'm on my city journey at a cafe. So in the same way that truck drivers will have a junction stop on the highway as they're on their journey, we will oftentimes take a junction stop at a cafe. And from our perspective, as we started studying traffic flows, we feel that junction stop is devoid of a bed, bath, and shower, right? For all of us, our home is where you can be your most bare self, and it's a great dose of health and a great dose of relaxation to kind of recharge, get back to 100% in that junction stop, and walk into a hotel for as long or short as you want, and that's what we do.
Awesome. Where did this idea come from? I mean, were you in the hospitality industry prior?
No, sir. Very excited to be in it now. It's fascinating. There are so many things that we've learned with the entire team since we've gotten into it. But no, we did not come from hotels. Me and my co-founders, we all went to WashU in St. Louis. We're very entrepreneurial. One dropped out. I contemplated dropping out, but I didn't finish. Came to the Valley, and we were working on a couple of different things. And I got involved with a startup that Lyft acquired. And while at that startup, we had the pleasure of being the first to do shared rides in San Francisco. So before Uber Pool and before Lyft Line, we were working on a technology that would allow people to go and instead of doing an Uber or Lyft where it's just one passenger, one driver, you put several passengers in the car. You get the concept. And we were studying traffic flows, me in particular. Both on the supply side for the driver and on the consumer side. And what we could see is as drivers were, going into downtown Boston, downtown Manhattan, downtown San Francisco, a lot of these folks could not afford to live downtown, but they would come from the outskirts. And if you look at taxi folks, they were much more entrenched in the market and they had a lot more resources, taxi stands, taxi offices. But for this new classification of worker, not always so much. And so they'd come into the city, drive for several hours, and they would need junction stops, right? And, can't walk into Uber. No. Oftentimes you couldn't walk into Lyft. And so what do? Sometimes they go into hotels, they park on the side of the road. And so it was very fascinating to see how people would stop in and use a Starbucks and then hit the road. And this kind of became a fascination for me. And I would kind of see, like, does this affect the demand side as well? And sure enough, also for consumers using ride sharing, you'd be surprised as to how people change their routes based upon the movement and the openings of new cafes. People will literally change their journeys based upon where cafes are in the city. And so this became really fascinating for us. And we started fixating on this junction concept. And for us, we just think it's devoid of a bed, bath, and shower. Like, if I'm taking a real break, why can't I have privacy? Why can't I have a bed, a shower, a place to nap, take a call, do some push-ups? Like, why can't I do that? I can do that in my house, but I can't do that downtown. And I mean, we just scratched our heads. We went down the list. We looked at Airbnb, we looked at, Regis, we looked at hotels. We just couldn't believe it. Why is this not possible? And so we just solved that, and we just kind of kept going.
So, I mean, you could do it if you wanted to pay for a full night at a hotel, but then you're talking hundreds of
Yeah.
dollars, and I assume your solution is going to save them some money.
Yes, sir. That's correct. It was a one size fits all solution, to a point where, in our very earliest meetings, we would tell hoteliers, like, listen, like, can you imagine if the only way you could park your car was for 24 hours? Like, think about that. You
Right,
go, you
right.
park your
It's a good,
car.
good comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, you can park your car for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. I mean, like, if it's the full day, 24 hours is the only option, there's so many use cases and so many ways that you're missing out on revenues. It just doesn't make any sense. It's
Right.
it's in the past, and we're walking into the future.
And like I was telling you, I mean, I'm heading up into Boston on Friday to go to the Celtics playoff game, and I'm going to have meetings all day, and then I got to find somewhere to kind of hang out for a few hours prior to the game. I wish I could just check into a hotel for a few hours, take a shower, take a nap, change into some new clothes. Boom, I feel good, I'm refreshed, I'm clean, and everything else. And there really isn't an option. So you guys are currently in San Francisco and New York. Why did you pick those two cities to start with?
It's a good question. San Francisco is where we were already based, and it's a very futuristic concept. And so on the consumer side, we had a lot of demand. And so it seemed like a natural transition, given that we were not entrenched in the hotel space. We did not have total information about, on the supply side, which market would be better than the other, but we at least knew, you look at two sides of a marketplace, if you go into a two-sided business, you should feel core competency on one side, otherwise you're doomed before you start. And so for us, we felt confident on the consumer side, and we felt that that would give us leverage to walk into the supply side, and those were where we have relationships on the consumer side, and so that's where we started. Now, in terms of New York, very data driven. We were very fortunate that as we got moving in San Francisco, Jimmy Fallon picked up the news, and he announced it, and that you could now use Recharge, that it was out there in the market. Thousands of people downloaded it in New York, and we had a lot of hunger and thirst for the product, and month after month, people kept referring and adding more folks to the New York area and emailing us and asking us to come, and so much so that hotels began to pick wind of it and started asking us to onboard as well. And so it made it a very easy decision to kind of go where the demand, on both sides of the market, were asking us to go.
Now, luxury hotels in those two cities, since that's where you guys have most of your data from, what is their current, or what is their average, I guess, occupancy rate? What percentage of the hotel is available for Recharge customers?
It's a great question, and I want to flip this on its head a bit, if we can. So you asked about occupancy, which is the right question as of today, and in our view, the wrong question for tomorrow. But I'll answer it and then give some color as well. So the answer is that in San Francisco, occupancy hovers around 80, 89, 90%, depending upon time of year,
Yeah.
but it's relatively occupied. And then New York is probably a little bit lower, maybe 87, 86. But from our viewpoint, it's a very high local commuter product. And so if you look at the occupancy rates during the week, they're actually much higher. They're a little lower on the weekends in San Francisco. So let's say occupancy during the week is 93, 94, and on the weekends, maybe it's 82, 83, right? Like something like that. But in the end, our viewpoint is, let's say that we have a 100-room hotel, right? Let's call it the the Jonah and Recharge Hotel, Startup Sense and Recharge Hotel, 100-room hotel. Our viewpoint is that even if it's 100% occupied, there will be 25, 30 people who leave early in the morning to fly back to wherever they came from, and 25 to 30 people who are not arriving until 8, 9, 10 at night, sometimes even up through midnight.
Perfect. Yeah.
And as those room attendants start cleaning the rooms in the morning, you could be 100% occupied, yet in terms of how the inventory is sitting just there vacant during the day, you could be 35% vacant.
Right.
And
so you're making more than 100% of your kind of max daily revenue rates. Meaning
that's exactly correct.
Someone's coming in at 11 o'clock at night and they're going to pay the full rate, but if you can also sell 3 or 4 hours during the day to someone else, boom. I mean, that's a win-win.
It is a win-win. And in other forms of real estate, they actually track vacancy. If you go into an apartment, and so your question was about occupancy, but if we take a step back and say, hey, wait a minute, how are other forms of inventory and real estate, how are they tracking? If you go into an apartment real estate trust, they're tracking vacancy. And so for us, if we can, be so lucky to be thought leaders in this space, our viewpoint is that folks should be tracking vacancy. And they should be driving and monetizing every minute in the hotel with locals and other use cases, so that a 100-room hotel can do 125 rooms worth of revenue.
This is Jonah Lupton, founder of Jewel and host of the Startup Sense podcast. At Jewel, we help entrepreneurs and startup founders build, launch, and grow their companies by providing superior technology, marketing, and consulting services. We help clients of all sizes, budgets, and industries. We put our clients in the best position to raise capital, grow revenues, hire employees, and maximize their profits. For more information or to set up a free consultation with our team, please visit our website at jool.net. That's JOOL.net. So like a lot of other companies, in some ways you guys are a marketplace, or at least there's two sides to the story, right? You have to bring on the hotels and get them excited about the platform, but then you also have to go out and find the consumers. So how are you guys doing both? How are you reaching out to hotels, and how are you marketing to consumers?
It's a great question. On the consumer side, we're very lucky to have tremendous word of mouth. And so you tell one friend you can use the W by the minute, and they're like, no, no, you're lying. And then they look it up, and then they try it, and they tell 10 friends. It's such an interesting, and it's almost unbelievable. And then when you try it, you ask yourself, well, why hasn't this existed so far? So we're very blessed that word of mouth is really kind of shooting off for us. And we've also done a tremendous amount of press and had press outlets, Bloomberg, Fortune, Business Insider, TechCrunch, we've Wall Street Journal. We've had folks that have really kind of promoted this because it is of great value. So that's kind of word of mouth and press has been core drivers for us. And then on the inventory side, we use relationships. We have strong relationships through our investor set, and we've been able to build relationships with hoteliers and real estate owners. And we use our relationships and the value prop of monetizing inventory that they're currently not monetizing, and it's been great so far.
Do the hotels help you with marketing? Do they help promote this to their community of travelers?
Not to the community of travelers, but they will oftentimes say, you know what, I'm making money with Recharge. You're in our network. We have the same brand. Why don't you, as a sister hotel, try it out as well? But fundamentally, we feel there are two customer sets. They're focused on travelers, and there are a lot of people competing for travelers. Everybody's racing to the bottom, and it's something that, as I've gone into the industry, I can't wrap my hand around it. I mean, we're professionals, me and you, Jonah, right? Imagine that you go online, you're looking to apply for a job, and your rate is, let's say you believe you should be making $200,000 a year, and a headhunter approaches and is promoting your services and says, you know what? No, actually, Jonah, you're worth $150, and I'm discounting your rate, to the person who's going to pay. I mean, that's what's happening in the industry right now. The hotel says my asset is worth $300 on my website, and all along come these 10 websites that are trying to sell it for $275. And for us, it just seems like this huge race to the bottom. We feel that instead of trying to undercut the rate, why don't we do something different? So all of a sudden, the hotel that is selling this for $300 can find a way to yield their inventory minute by minute, where maybe they're getting $350. Maybe they've made a couple $100 from us during the day, and then can turn around and sell that room at night. And all of a sudden, we're adding value. And so that's kind of the way we're looking at this.
Talk to us about your fundraising strategy. So, did you guys bootstrap this business for a little while, or did you raise some seed money very early on?
Oh, it's a great question. We did bootstrap, and it was painful, and it was fun, and it was a journey.
I'm glad you admitted that.
We did. There were many times when, me, Will, and Chris, we would band together. We would ask each other, okay, well, this is how much runway we have, and whose friends can add to the pot, and whose credit card is going to go a little further. And it was a struggle initially. But I think what we took it as is we wanted to bootstrap until we felt that we had enough relevant data to fundraise. And it kind of, that was the initial goal, and it kind of flipped on its head because VCs started reaching out to us even before we were necessarily prepared to fundraise. But as we began to build that relationship, when we felt a little stronger and felt that we had a model to put capital on top of, the relationships were kind of already in place.
Awesome. You guys have raised one round or two?
We've raised a seed round. So our first investor was Cyan and Scott. They were very early into. Scott's on the board at Postmates. He previously, a long time ago, was on the board at PayPal. And so when we started, that was just initial angel capital for us to keep the lights on and have just some initial runway to get going. And then so that was kind of like angel, and then we did a seed, and then recently we brought on strategics that have added to kind of our vision, most notably JetBlue.
Okay. How did that come about? You guys reach out to them, or they find you? How did that partnership happen?
It was a mutual connection. So we have a mutual connection here in San Francisco, somebody who's very well entrenched in the travel space. And they made the introduction. We met with JetBlue. We were floored with their culture. We were floored with their commitment to guest experience. We have a very similar vision to removing and lowering stress on the journey. Our journey is one that can happen as a local or a traveler. Their journey is one that's focused on travelers. But regardless, there is an appetite both for travelers and locals to have kind of like a bolt of energy, a recharge, if you will, when you're out and about. And we were aligned in that vision, and so they jumped in. And that's another way we will also be adding to the demand side by positioning recharge to folks that have canceled flights or delayed flights or on red eyes, things of that nature.
Awesome. So what have been the biggest challenges so far? When did you guys start the company? What was the year?
So we launched in San Francisco in 2016.
Okay. So you guys have been at this you said 2015?
2016 is when we launched in San Francisco.
Oh, okay. So you guys have been at this for a year or less?
In terms of when we formed the company, we formed it in 2015. In terms of when we actually put product out and put, pedal to the metal and started collecting customers and hotels, that was in 2016.
Okay. So what's it been like since you guys launched less than a year ago?
A whirlwind of lessons, all in a forward trajectory, right? Yeah, I don't even know where to start. I mean, what I can say is that when we first started, one thing that we learned is you got to have a wide set of inventory. So we came into the equation heavy on the consumer side, not as heavy on the supply side.
Okay.
And our first hotel was Hyatt. And, as they were wrapping around their head on this concept and realizing, wow, this is actually amazing. We really should be yielding our rooms this way. What happened is that we were failing on fulfillment from the consumer side because we had gotten into one hotel, but we began to realize, like, wow, you open up one hotel, one junction stop, one Starbucks, it's just not enough. It's in the financial district. If I'm at Fifth and Market, a junction spot in the financial district just doesn't matter. And we quickly began to realize that the booking window, the conversion is so much higher when the hotel is close to you. And so as we began to collect that data, we recognized that having coverage all throughout the city was critical. And so when we launched second time around in New York, we started with coverage. We had coverage downtown, midtown, Central Park. We started with coverage where in San Francisco, just kind of getting our foot out the door, we did not.
So what is that coverage right now? I mean, are you able to tell us how many hotels you have participating in San Fran and or New York?
Total, we have just over 30 luxury hotels.
Okay, awesome. And I mean, what are the expansion capabilities in those cities? I mean, certainly New York. I mean, I don't even know how many hundreds of hotels they are, but I mean, is your hope to have every 4- and 5-star hotel in every major city in the country?
Yes, sir.
Cool. That's a big goal.
In the world.
In the world, right? That's a good point. I mean, and then how will things change at that point? Will people be able to buy, monthly membership packages?
Maybe. Listen, the vision is that I should be able to access a better Bed Bath and Shower for as long or short as I want at my exact price point immediately near me, no matter where I am. That's the vision. All right.
Okay.
So if there's a subscription that allows you to make that price point a little bit easier, I mean, sure, maybe we could explore it. But again, our vision is that like right now, everybody's home it's your greatest expense or your greatest asset.
Right.
And there's a good reason for that. It's because that's where you form your memories. It's where your most bare self. You can, I don't know, call your family, get over a bad review at work, somersault, yoga, pray, cry, scream. I mean, whatever you want to do. And you can't, it's like that aspect of being your most raw self is totally like just X'd out for you as soon as you walked out the door. And our vision is that you should be able to carry that in your pocket and always access it whenever you need it. And what that does is that it unanchors you. So it just gives you the flexibility to be able to jump in, be your bare self, go back out in the world, do what you got to do, and be more successful before you head home.
What's been your biggest milestone thus far, or something that you guys are really proud of that you've achieved?
We're proud of the way New York launched. Very excited about it. We took all the lessons that we took from San Francisco and we applied them to New York, and we're off to a quick race, quick growth curve in New York, and we're very excited about how that's working. It's also exciting to see the folks from San Francisco that are landing in for red eyes in New York and using it there. That network effect of those both cities, it's starting to get interesting, and we're very, very excited about how we executed that and what's more in store to come from that opening.
I mean, I would think like any other good startup, you guys listen to your customers. So what kind of feedback have you gotten from your customers so far?
Great question. More hotels. Number one.
Okay.
One.
No, that's fair. Yep.
More inventory. I want to use this, as I'm landing in Denver or I'm landing in, Fort Lauderdale, or when I go to Europe, more inventory is the by and large number one feedback point we hear. There's a whole host of things. I mean, people have said it would be great if my favorite dinner was waiting for me when I walked in, or if you could find a way for my clothes to follow me, so as I'm moving around in the city, recharging from place to place, if my stuff can follow me. We've heard all sorts of requests, and we're very excited about the team that we have in-house, and we are hiring, and we will attack and address every single one of our consumers' needs as well as our hoteliers' needs, and the long and fruitful roadmap that we have ahead.
So I have a company that also sells into hotels, and as I've learned, there are many decision makers in a hotel. So there's so many different departments. So which department do you guys typically sell into, or who is your ideal contact person inside of a hotel?
Sure, it varies. Sometimes we'll connect at the brand level. Sometimes it could be the ownership level. Sometimes it's a regional. It really varies. It varies on the type of hotel, the location, the tenure of the leadership on property. So it varies. But what we've gotten good at is we've gotten good at going into a hotel environment asking the right questions, understanding their needs, qualifying, ensuring that they're even a good fit for us. And then if they are, engaging the right stakeholders to drive them to eliminate the vacancy in their assets.
Whenever you guys get a no from a hotel, what's the typical reason for it?
No, we've gotten no's, not now.
What's that?
Not
No.
now, or we need time to better evaluate this. This is new. We want to see it. So we got a lot of not nows, but frankly, if you do the qualification correctly, we get a lot of yeses, and it's because we have a good understanding of what hotel works for our consumer base and is a good match for us. So if you qualify correctly, you end up with a lot of yeses. That's our perspective.
Now, does your service integrate with their booking system, or do they have to replace their whole booking system?
It depends upon the asset, depends upon the hotel, but yes, we do have ways of strengthening the communication layer between the way they do the reservations and ours, but it just depends. But we do build technology, and we have things in place that make that communication flow as seamless as it can be.
Okay. And just last couple of questions here. What's the single best piece of advice you've gotten from any of your investors?
Ooh, good question.
I'm sure there was probably too many to list. And it's tricky because you hate playing favorites, but sometimes one particular thing stands out. Or even a particular introduction or some other way that they added value with recruiting. I mean, could be really anything.
Yeah, I will say if you're encountering a hard problem, you're going into a market and providing a solution that adds value but has not been done before, and you're dealing with tough incumbents, whatever the industry, I think what we've received from our investor set and was already in our DNA, but just got amplified with our existing partners, use data to crack a problem, right? Use a crap ton of data and analytics to crack the problem that you have at hand. So for entrepreneurs that are out there that are facing their own set of challenges, think through how increased data, either from the inputs that you have from your own customers or across the aisle with the partners that you're working with, the data that they might have that they're willing to share, that can help you better your position. I think by and large, that is what we've gotten a lot of from our investors, and kind of reinforced kind of how we've always been thinking about this as well.
And I'll just, I guess, last question here. If you could go back 2 years and give yourself a piece of advice, what would it be?
Do less to achieve more.
Okay, that makes sense. That's a good one.
Focus, and oftentimes rest. As entrepreneurs, there's a go mentality, but the journey is critical. And sometimes you realize, there's so much to do, there's so many deadlines, but this is a lot of fun. And sometimes doing a little bit less and taking out priorities, and giving yourself that opportunity to just catch your breath, can really highlight the priorities, and can help you achieve more.
Right. I mean, rather than getting burned out, and then that's not good for anybody.
Got it.
What is, last question here, recharge.co is the website. Have you guys tried to acquire recharge.com? I mean, it looks like it's actually an in-use website, so I guess you have to go with .co for now.
Yeah, we'll do recharge.co. In terms of the .com, there will be a time.
You got it, man. Everyone's got their price, that's for sure.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you so much, Manny. Really appreciate you taking the time today to chat with us and be so honest and share so much great advice. What's the best way that we can connect with you online?
Absolutely. Anybody who has a question, feel free to email me at manny@recharge.co. We're also on Twitter at just @recharge. So you can tweet us, you can email us, and if you go to recharge.co, you'll see our landing page. You go ahead and sign up, download our app, whether it's Android or iOS. And for folks listening, if you're in New York or San Francisco, if you enter in a code called recharge, you will have an opportunity to try the product on us.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Appreciate it. Well, Well, thank you so much, Manny. Wish you guys the best. Sounds like you guys are off to a great start here, and I hope it continues for you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
You got it, man. Talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye.